When I first heard that there was going to be a remake of Evil Dead, I reacted to the news with a resounding ugh. I mean, let's take a moment to be honest here. The original Evil Dead was a well-directed, no-budget schlockfest that most likely would have been forgotten by now had it not been for its two superior camp sequels. When people think of Evil Dead, they think of Bruce Campbell as iconic hero Ashley Williams with a chainsaw strapped to his bloody stump of a wrist and a boomstick in hand, wrecking dead-eye ass and spouting cheesy awesome one-liners. What the trailers presented was a gory, grim, dark horror film akin to the original's exploitative roots, so my expectations dropped hard, with me brushing the film off as another modern half-assed gorefest that was trying to gain some extra attention from shameless name recognition. Hell, even if the movie did embody the self-aware nature of the later films, how could you possibly have Ash, when the character is so tightly bound to someone as irreplaceable as Bruce Campbell? Well, the film is out now, and I owe it a few apologies. The atmosphere is genuinely creepy, and the horror elements do a decent job of creating tension, and the gore is so over the top that it hits similar levels of unintentional cheesiness as the original. As for rebooting Ash, the film overcomes this by simply not addressing it. No one in the film is named Ashley, and throughout most of the film it's unclear if there's even an Ash analog. And this is one of many ways the film subverts the expectations of longtime Evil Dead fans. Starting off with an identical framework of the original of 5 college-age kids, 3 girls, 2 guys, going to a cabin in the middle of nowhere, though the reason this film was to isolate a friend to help her kick her drug addiction, instead of the old generic, woo, let's go out into the woods because that's what teenagers do apparently reason. And of course some dumbass reads the Book of the Dead, and shit gets real. And this is where the reboot starts throwing its curveballs, by homaging the original and recreating scenes from it, but still adding enough new elements to keep old fans interested. Now, not everything I have to say about it is positive. The remake avoids using generic horror movie archetypes to fill the cast, which should be a good thing. But beyond the film's leads, possessed girl Mia and her brother David, none of the other characters are developed in any meaningful way. So when limbs start flying and the body count starts rising, I just couldn't care less about what happened to these people. Also, this remake lacks the more psychological elements of the first film, and banks mostly on the shock value and ratcheting up tension by putting characters in intense, brutally violent situations. And though this remake does play around with the ideas of the original quite a bit, throughout most of the film it was basically what I expected. The Evil Dead, with a much higher budget, more gore, and just enough changes made to keep my attention. That is, until the last 15 minutes or so, where the film just flips the fucking table on me, and I was treated to one of the most balls-out, batshit crazy finales that I never could have seen coming. And as a huge fan of the recent crop of modern exploitation tribute films, Evil Dead's ending definitely hit a sweet spot for me. Now, this is obviously a movie with its fair share of flaws, but things like its unapologetic use of gore, its dedication to relying almost entirely, if not entirely, on practical effects, and its over-the-top ending make this a film that should please most Evil Dead fans. Now, one thing worth noting is though all the Evil Dead fans I know liked the film, my friends who are unfamiliar with the series left the theater underwhelmed. So if this is your introduction to Evil Dead, and you're not a fan of extreme gore, or have a love of practical effects over CGI, then you may want to pass on this one. Now, if you're a fan of Raimi's original trilogy, and like over-the-top gore and prefer practical effects over lazy-ass digital ones, then Evil Dead comes with a solid recommendation from me. It's certainly not as scary as Insidious, and it lacks the brilliant sense of self-awareness that Cabin in the Woods had, and it's not as good as the original, but still one of the better horror films I've seen in the last few years. And I'd say it's worth the ticket price just for the goddamn ending. Well, that's my review. I'm Zetsubo J. I'll see you guys later.